To see such a packed room. This is just great. There's a lot of interest in what's happening right now. I think it's kind of the precipice of a paradigm shift in media. And we've got just a fabulous panel, very esteemed people and associates in the field. My background is television and film and advertising. And most recently, I was working for Sony Pictures on the launch of Blu-ray. So I was the product marketing manager in charge of that project. And as I hope most of you know, we were victorious. But it's not over yet. So what I've been doing recently, well, since I actually left Sony in 2009, but before I left, we were working on an open cloud-based distribution platform called Ultraviolet. Who's heard of it? Oh, good. It's getting out there. Well, let me tell you, at the beginning of Blu-ray, like, no one would have known when I asked that question, so it's good to know that at least 3 people have heard of it. It was announced at CES by a consortium known as the DECE, and the long-form version of that is Digital Entertainment Content Ecosystem. So they decided they needed to come up with a better brand name, and I guess UV came out of it somehow. And so Sony and Intel and Microsoft are leading that charge with about 60 other leading technology companies and retailers, including Comcast, Universal, Warner, Fox. Pretty much all the studios apart from Disney because of their affiliation with Apple. So that's the big question is how can you be interoperable? The promise of Ultraviolet is you buy the movie once and you play it anywhere, right? Because the big barrier at the moment for consumers to buy and want to own digital content in the same way that they own packaged media.
My background, and I'll tell you quickly about what Share3 does, but I'm the head of sales at Share3. I used to be at MySpace, and before that I was Chief Digital Advertising Officer at Forbes.com. So I've seen this, and I was started in the digital space in '99, so I've seen this evolution of how brands have moved online and how advertisers have moved online, and we were just talking how there's the cycles repeat themselves, and we're in this cycle I think right now, and what Share3 does is really deal with what we call social video, this notion that it's about content, not ads. It's always been about ads on the web, and we see the world changing to where brands for the first time have the ability to be the content, to be the experience, to be the programming, that they don't have to surround themselves with disruptive advertising around TV, that they can be the experience. So we really believe that social video is about content, not ads. It's about views, content that people choose to watch versus impressions, which are somewhat disruptive or forced upon. And then the key metric is about sharing, not clicks, right? And I always like to ask this question: who clicked on an ad today online? All right, who watched a video today online? Right? So that's the change that we see happening, that people won't click on ads, and brands now have to find new ways to do that. And what Share3 does is empower that distribution of getting brand video seen and then optimizing to sharing. Because we all know that if something is shared to us, that's really the holy grail of advertising. It's endorsement media, it's word of mouth, if you will. And the more that we can kind of prescribe to that and build that technology that optimizes to that, everyone wins.
Hi, I'm Shalini Pai, and I work at a company called YouTube. How many of you have... I had to repeat the question.
Look, no one raised their hand.
Yeah. It's too sad. I think all of you know what YouTube's about, so I'm not going to give a pitch on it. But I will say that what we really believe in at YouTube is the democratization of video. Because if you think about how content has evolved, it traditionally was only for these premium content creators who had the budgets that they could actually put out movies, or they could put out content on these limited channels that were on TV. But what we did with the internet is we created this infinite shelf space, right? And so there's content out there that only one person wants to watch, but there is shelf space for that. And it's free because you can put it on YouTube and you can reach out to that audience of, even if it's one, you can reach out to that audience. And that's really what we believe in. We believe in bringing out videos and content that maybe the masses want to watch it. Maybe it's so premium that the masses, everyone wants to watch it. Maybe it's so niche that there's only one person who wants to watch it, but we want to be across that spectrum. And I think that's always been the guiding philosophy at YouTube. So that's kind of a little bit about YouTube. About myself, I've been in digital media for too many years now, so I won't actually tell you because it'll give away my age. But I was at Pixar Animation, where I was technical director on Toy Story, which was, as you all know, the first 3D computer animated movie that we created. And since then, I think every film that's coming out nowadays is 3D animated. Guess what? The latest film is 3D and it's animated, and that's kind of become the norm. But when we first did Toy Story, it was a revolution, right? Because everything was drawn, everything was hand done, and computers had a very limited part to play. The digital aspects were very limited. Since my Pixar days, Pixar actually got acquired now by Disney. I had a couple of startups of my own, and then I joined Google, where I founded a platform called Google TV, which we worked on for many, many years, and we launched in October of last year. It's really a revolutionary technology, and that's really what I've always been about, is how do we create revolutions, how do we change things. So the adoption curve has not been as great as we would have obviously liked, but it's a first generation product, and the team is really working on it extensively to release a newer version in the summer that we've had tremendous user response to. And I think it's going to be really, really exciting. We're really going to see a revolution happening soon on that front. But currently I'm working at YouTube. I'm worldwide head for our partner strategy and partner solutions. So I work again with the premium guys, including Sony Pictures, including all the brand names that you can think about. But I also work with what we call our individual video program, or IVP. And that's all about, just a random user has uploaded a video and it's just gone viral through social media, through different aspects. It's got 1 million views on YouTube. And, we want to help those users become more professional. We want to help them monetize it. So we have programs that range from the very high end all the way through to those, individual users.
My name is Dino Marcus. I'm director of video at Bleacher Report. For those of you that don't know what Bleacher Report is, depending on the metric you check, we're either the 4th or the 5th largest digital sports brand. We probably get around 9 million uniques, 500 million page views a month. A little background on myself. I have about 12 years in content creation across media platforms, be it TV or radio, magazines, and kind of morphing into online. What Bleacher Report is, and I don't think I could have asked for a better tee-up than what these two just said, is we're kind of what you'd call, if you don't know us, I think a down and dirty way to say it, we were kind of a hybrid between ESPN and Huffington Post. We're kind of like the citizen journalism of sports. My particular vertical is video, because in our vertical there's a lot of topics that do really well with engagement, fashion, sports, politics. We happen to be in one where people really want to engage, they want to interact, they want to feel like they're part of the group, they want to have their voice heard, they want to feel like their team is covered. Like, we throw a deep and a wide net, and it's particularly in video, what these two guys just said, I couldn't echo more, is what we're trying to build is a platform where people can either upload their video, kind of participate in the video experience. We're not a news site, we're more of a commentary and analysis site. And for something like that, in the vertical we're in something like sports where, and maybe we're primarily guys, but we certainly have a lot of women who come to our site, it's just they want to debate. You want to have like a personal experience. You want to be watching the game with your buddy, and even online when you're watching by yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Hermione Way, Hermione as in Harry Potter. And I'm sick of that joke, but it was a great marketing ploy by my mum and dad because it starts many conversations. I'm currently video director for The Next Web, which is the 4th largest technology blog in the world behind TechCrunch, Mashable and Read Write Web. I moved here 6 months ago, I think, from London, and I live 1 block that way. And I open up my loft every month and I have networking events. So check out Plancast and feel free to come along. Not all of you. It's only one bedroom. But come along for a beer and a chat at my loft, which is, just over that way. So a little bit of background. I started a company, I still own a company called newspepper.com. which I started in 2008. And really the story behind that was I was doing a degree in journalism, and I was doing the National Council for the Training of Journalists, which is the UK's top journalism training. And they were teaching me newspaper journalism only. I was like, WTF? You know, when I graduate, there's a 99% chance that I'm going to be working in digital. Like, the word blog was not mentioned to me once. So I went on, I wanted to get, video and blogging and live streaming experience. And so I went online and I Googled organizations in London where I could get relevant work experience or training. Nothing existed. And that doubled with the fact that my part-time job at university to pay my bills was I was working in a bar. And again, I was like, this doesn't make sense. How come I'm doing something that's totally irrelevant to my degree? There must be an organization where I can get a paid relevant internship. So again, I went to Google, I Googled organizations in London. Nothing existed. So that's what Newspaper was. I set up the company in 2008. We do online media for people like the BBC and Channel 4. We do all of their online video and live streaming and blogging services. But our business model is quite unique because we give students and graduates in media paid internships. So, we really grew. We capitalized on the recession hugely because BBC and Channel 4 didn't have the budgets that they traditionally had. And we were a startup, we were doing online, and we used students and graduates, so we were cheaper than a lot of the traditional agencies. And we won some pretty good big clients, and then I set up a blog called Tech Fluff TV to report on the European technology culture. A guy called Mike Butcher, who's the editor of TechCrunch Europe, said, "Hey Hermione, you should check out what these American girls are doing. Check out iJustine, check out Pop 17, check out Geek Brief TV, Callie Lewis. There's no one doing it in Europe. You could do it." So I did. I set up Tech Fluff TV, and it became a video partner of TechCrunch. We got a sponsorship by Flip Video, Sun Microsystems, and it just took off. And then I got a regular slot on Sky News in London talking about tech. They thought I was some sort of guru. And then I moved here 6 months ago because we're in the midst of the second .com boom, a huge phenomenon.
I've had a few different incarnations or lives in my career. I started as a banker and worked at the Death Star that many people call Goldman Sachs. It was a fun experience. It was definitely a good learning experience, and had a very short stint there and wanted to get out of the financial services business. Took a job at Yahoo. Spent 2 years there, and then a friend asked me to help him start a company called BitTorrent, and I spent 4 years running that company. And then had the opportunity to get together with a few friends and do a couple of, passion projects. So I have two buns in the oven. I'll tell you about both of them. One is a company called Flingo, and the other one is a company called IO Ventures. IO Ventures is my 20% project, I guess. It's basically centered around a building that some friends and I bought in the Mission District, where we decided to basically build something that we wished existed when we were all starting our own companies for the first time. And it's basically a cafe that's geared for startups. Unlike a Starbucks where you've kind of got to contend with the sound of frappuccinos and lots of other uncomfortable aspects of that venue, this venue was designed for hanging out with like-minded people and starting things. So that's a place where you'll find me hanging out probably a few nights a week, and I'd welcome all of you to come check it out. It's on Valencia Street. My passion project number 2 is a company called Flingo, and it was sort of inspired by this thing that happened when I came home from work. I went to go see my parents who live not too far from here. And my brother and I, who were both working at BitTorrent at the time, came home to see my parents, who normally would be watching something on TV and maybe chit-chatting about something. Both of them were in bed. Their TV was off. Their laptops were on. They were both looking at their laptops with earbuds in. And we were a little bit freaked out by this because it didn't look like they were talking to each other much. And so we were trying to figure out if something was up between the couple. And so, Mom, Dad, is everything okay? And they said, well, my mom was watching some Bollywood talk show, and my dad was watching some news program, and they couldn't agree to what to watch at the same time. And what they wanted to watch wasn't on TV. So this sort of pulled them into their own direction. I'm curious if how many of you have had this experience where you know, the digital platforms are pulling the family, pulling your friends all into their own little space. They're no longer talking to each other. How many of you have had this problem where you turn on the TV late at night and there's really nothing that you want to see? How many of you had this problem where you fight over a remote control when there is something that you want to see? We're trying to solve all of those problems with Flingo. It's an application framework that runs across a lot of new TVs. We installed this framework on new Samsung TVs, Vizio TVs, LG TVs. Basically about 5 million TVs in the world right now have our software installed, and we're trying to do some really cool and interesting things that solve really real problems that people have with their TV watching experience.